Audrey, what's the biggest tip for divergent writers? Let's start with Morwenna. What's your biggest tip?
All right, my biggest tip is automatic writing. Number one, it's fun, but when you write automatically, you just sit yourself down with pad and paper. Don't think about spelling, don't think about grammar, don't think about where you're going with your plot. Just get a load of words down as quickly as you possibly can for as long as you can. Because once you've got something down, you've got something to work with. And I think a lot of people get really sort of hung up with their writing and say, oh, I can't do it because, oh, that doesn't make sense, or, oh, I've made a spelling error or something. And that just completely interrupts your flow of your thought process, where you're going with the story. So just basically get it all out, do some automatic writing sessions, and then you've got something, and then you can start worrying about all the the mechanics of it all. And obviously everything's done on computer now, and there's spell checkers and grammar checkers, Grammarly, and everything like that. And there's even something that will check the run of your storyline, like an editing program. So you can even use one of those if you're that worried. But yeah, you've got to get the words out, and the best way to do it is just let your brain go for a bit. So that would be my tip. What's your tip, Brian?
Yeah, excellent.
Well, much the same. Just get it down right. I mean, I've got a quote. What was it? H.P. Lovecraft. He said he wrote for himself, and if other people found it interesting and enjoyed it, fine. Mind you, he never made any money out of his writing. But,
but who does?
I'm not in that position that I need. You know, I would never imagine myself being a professional writer. There's too much competition, and you know, it's amazing that anyone gets anything. But I just write. I find in recent years that writing's been cathartic, because I've been through, not only me, my wife, we've been through quite a lot of emotional upset. I've lost my parents, that's the reason I'm down here, I'm an only child, blah, 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 blah. And just recently, everything's piled in because you hold emotions back. And then all of a sudden, it doesn't matter when it is, they'll hit you. It's like my father, when he was in his 40s, went through and he was as fit as a fiddle. And he went through a lot of illness, and not only him, but men of his age seemed to. Well, it was the post-traumatic stress of the Second World War, which he was in, with lots of his, you know, as a very young man, catching up with them. You've got to let things out. Well, writing is the greatest way of letting things out. You know, you can just write anything down, you know, and if you can do something with it and tidy it up and somebody likes it, that's even better, you know. And I think it's, you know, it's something I should continue doing. Poetry, I never wrote any poetry till I joined Twyford to the Poets, where I met Pam previously at Twyford Writers, and I'd never written, not even on a toilet wall, as far as I know. So I wrote a poem and called Twyford After Midnight, I think it was. And I found that was fun. You know, I thought, oh, that's good. But just recently, last few years, I've written some darker stuff that I wouldn't normally. If you'd indulge me, I'll read one out, if that's okay. You don't mind me doing it. And this is not something I normally read out, I suppose. And it's called The Return of Rosalie. One full moon night she appeared before me, borne on the wind of sparkling stardust. Who was this vision of beauty and grace, this ethereal being with angelic face? Could I trust my own eyes? Where were my senses telling me? Were my senses telling me lies? It was my own Rosalie, with her earthly charms. How could that be? Just 7 moons ago, I laid her in the cold earth. My life's light gone out. Gone was happiness, gone was mirth. No brightness and joy, all was black. My Rosalie was gone, never to come back. My tortured soul cried out. Let her live again, or let me not live and obliterate this pain. Be careful what you wish for, so the sages say, for your wish may come true, but not in your wished for way. What I saw before me was beyond belief. This apparition must be a figment of my mind, brought on by misery and grief. She stepped forward and held me with an all too solid touch, saying, "Come to me, my darling. I've missed you oh so much." She smiled broadly, drawing fangs so pearly white that sank into my neck and drew blood to her delight. She then drank deeply, saying, "Fear nothing, we'll be together for all eternity. For within 7 moons past, you'll be a vampire just like me." I mean, that's the sort of poetry that I really like writing. I do write lighter stuff just to balance it out, but that's the sort of thing that I like writing.
Thank you. Yeah. So you know, it does actually help with depression and getting through your emotions as well, writing. And that is obviously another form of neurodivergence. Now, I just want to show, I don't know if you can see, this is my a little script I wrote for today. And if you can actually see, it's full of errors and mistakes. And that is dyslexic writing. You do get, and when I wrote it, I thought it was absolutely perfect. I read it twice, I spell checked it, and it's not actually spelling that is wrong with this. It is the fact missed words, double words, there's sentences that don't run together, all sorts of things wrong with it. But does it matter really? What you have to do, even if you have dyslexia and your work ends up like that, just put it to one side. Don't read it for a couple of days, because your dyslexic brain will read exactly what you tell it to read. And it could actually be completely wrong, but you'll be reading it and think it's perfect. It happens to quite a few dyslexic people. So my big tip is you do your work and then you put it away. With my novels, I actually put them away for months on end. So when I come back to it, it's like a fresh novel, and then I can go through it about 8 times, checking for mistakes. And once you've gone through your work about 8 times, then you send it to editors, proofreaders, beta readers, your publisher, and you just again and again, you get everybody to look through your work, because you recognize your problems. Doesn't matter if you have them, it's okay, but you have to sort it out, because obviously you don't want a book coming out with loads of mistakes, do you? Give dyslexia a bad name, you don't want to do that. So what we're all saying is, you have a problem, you set up your own solutions to sort out the problem. Everybody has problems in writing, it doesn't matter. What really matters is you find a way of getting around those problems. And when you finish your work, be proud of your work. Okay, and that is our little sessions. Now, has anybody got any questions?
It's
Yes, Robin?
I thought Chip was going to go in there. Yeah, I'm actually doing a book at the moment called Writing to Express Yourself.
Oh, interesting.
And I've worked for years in psychiatric hospitals, day centres, adult learning, doing exactly that. I'm also a counsellor, and I use it within counselling centre. But the idea really is to get people to express their feelings or whatever. They may have had a traumatic experience of some sort. Doesn't have to be. It could be a happiness experience, but it's about getting it down there and getting it out, and using it as a method of controlling yourself and guidance for yourself for life. You can do it in all sorts of ways. You don't have to restrict it to just writing for novels or whatever. It can be writing to the local authority. It can be writing to somebody who's been dead for years about your feelings. But it's using it as a method of expressing something which you would normally find it very difficult to talk about. So that's where my interest comes into it. I normally write for health and social care, mostly. So that's my interest in the group.
Yeah, that
And
is
it's interesting to hear some of the things you've been saying, because it's some of the things that I've been putting in the book.
Yeah, when I've been ill, sometimes I've done art therapy.
Yeah.
But nobody ever sort of said about writing. It's just writing's just something I've literally always done, and it is cathartic. And if you want to say something horrible or something really, I don't know, that you're frightened of saying it, you can fictionalize it. But you've just in the way of expressing it somehow, you've just relieved the pressure a little bit. So yeah, I'd be interested in reading your book.
If you write it as a fictional character, you might be writing about the problem, and it's a way of distancing yourself from it, and it becomes easier to write about it.
Yeah, and you can explore your own feelings through it as well, can't you?
Yes.
So yeah, it's good.
Chip, have you got a question?
Not so much a question. I found this interesting because I'll be honest, I hadn't heard the phrase or the word neurodivergence until I saw this was posted. So I went to Wikipedia and to find out. Yes. I mean, I do write. I have written for many years, but only just as a complete side hobby. And it was not until I retired from my business life that I actually made some effort. I was, and I still am, a very slow reader, a not very good reader. I misread words. I've never sort of had any official diagnosis, but my experience at school was of being the one who could never read the current book, and young people much younger than me used to go streaking past reading, you know, book 2, 3, 4, 5, and I would struggle on with one. I enjoy reading very much, but for a large part of the time I did not read because it was difficult. But I am very bad at writing in that I completely contradict what was being said. I don't just let it write. I am awful at keep checking and rewriting as the thing goes on. I mean, I was doing it this evening. Some of the stories I may write have been checked 1,000 times at the beginning and once or twice at the end. It rather works like that. So it's interesting to hear, you know, how other people approach things and, you know, the background to it. I do enjoy writing. I realized as I retired from my working life that I had written millions and millions of words in reports, minutes of meetings and things like that. And so I thought that I would rather turn it to better use. So in my 60s, I went on a creative writing course. And since then, I have written, you know, a couple of novels. I'm writing a few more. I've written lots of short stories, and I've even won the occasional prize with short stories. So it is certainly something that you can come to. And I am fortunate in that I don't have to earn my living by writing.
No,
I never would have been able to earn my living by writing.
Very few people can tip that.
Yes, I think that's probably true. Yeah.
But it's good that, you know, from basically a slow reader, you're now writing, and you've written lots and won prizes. So that says a lot, doesn't it? I mean, you can achieve whatever you want to achieve. You just have to believe in yourself.
Yes.
And get your strategies going. Basically, everybody needs their own strategies, and once you've got them, the world is your oyster. Basically,
what struck me was some of the strategies you've been talking about, like the rewriting and all of that, is the normal strategies most writers use in any case, because you put your thoughts down, you just get them down in any way you can get them down. And once you've done that, you'll go back and go over them, because you've got to rearrange them and refine them, because you may not have got down exactly what it is that you wanted to say, and you have to change the words anyway in order for to get there. So the strategies you use are sort of normal writing strategies, I would call them.
Yeah, but a bit deeper, I think.
It may be you have to do it a bit more.
Yeah.
In order to get there, but it's still part of the normal process.
Oh, definitely. I think so.
My wife's a writer as well, and she does exactly the same. It's part of the process. So it's ordinary writing strategies can be a big help to you as well.
Definitely, and everybody has their own little writing strategies.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. Well, we're going to have
not a race either.
No. Right. We're going to have to end this here because we're over our half an hour slightly. But thank you everybody for coming and taking part. It's been lovely, and hopefully this video will go out and it will help other people who think that they can't write because they're neurodivergent. And hopefully we've proved that yes, you can. Neurodivergency is not a hindrance. It's something that makes you special, and it makes your writing more special as well. Okay, well, thank you everybody for joining us.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next month, hopefully.
Well, thank you, Pam.
Thank you.
Very interesting evening.
yes,
Bye-bye.
thanks for inviting me to come along.
Okay, bye.
Bye.